All right. Well, Chris Popper here in Bangor, Matt Haney down in Bar Harbor. And Matt, I appreciate you joining us. I know that even though school hasn't officially started, teachers and administrators have been working hard throughout the summer.
Yeah, we sure have. I know for myself, this has been a summer like none other, as far as just not only the amount of work, but the pace and the urgency. Often summer is a time to step back and do the projects that you don't have time to really dig into during the school year, and kind of focus in on some things and go at a slower pace. And that certainly hasn't been the case this year between the different plans that we're able to pull together to bring students back, and just a lot of the work that's gone into just figuring out how to do the best job we can do to educate our kids right now has been it's been pretty intense, and it's pretty all-encompassing for school administrators, and also the teachers have been doing the same thing. I'm so proud of the work that they've done. So many of the teachers have kind of relearned a new style of teaching, first under fire, basically from the middle of March until the end of school. And they did an amazing job. I heard a quote from a superintendent today. He said something like, what we did in the spring was like falling out of a window and then growing your wings as you plummeted toward the earth. And I think that was pretty apt. And then so now the wings are there, and we're learning how to flap them, I guess, if you want to continue that metaphor. And we're going to do a lot of work, and we're going to take the things that we learned from that leap of faith, so to speak, this spring to now we go forward, and we've learned a lot of skills and a lot of things that work, and a lot of technology tools that are going to help us be both better remote teachers when that's applicable, and also in a hybrid phase. And honestly, when we get back to normal times, whenever that happens, we will gain an awful lot of skills.
All right. So well, first of all, you and we're both celebrating the class of 2020, as we both have our shirts on. We're unknowingly twinning today. You guys published a fantastic schedule for the fall. It's available on the WDEA website. Anyone who was complaining about the fact that there was no structure, and that was a common complaint when the world began anew back in March. This is very structured, and you're going to have, for those who choose a hybrid model, starting on September 25th, 28th, they will be in school 4 days a week, alternating mornings and then afternoons. Talk about why you went with a half-day option as opposed to a full day where the kids are only in school twice a week or 3 times a week.
Sure. Yeah, I'd love to talk about that. I just, before I do that, I want to maybe reframe something that you said there a little bit, talking about complaints. I actually look at those more as good feedback.
Yeah. Okay.
There are types of feedback that are easier to process than other types, but it's all feedback, and it helps us make a good decision. So I would always advocate that people give the feedback that they have. I'm not sure always that the most effective method of feedback is airing the grievances on social media. So I'm always welcome, open to phone calls, emails directly, rather than wondering or airing those complaints or those pieces of feedback in a forum that I may not even see. So always, please, people, give me the feedback.
You mean you're not monitoring Facebook constantly? And
that would be very bad for my mental health, I think.
Yes.
So anyway, back to the question you actually asked me. Why did we go with the half-day schedule? We did spend a lot of time trying to consider the merits of either the full day alternating schedule versus a half a day. And the other thing is, how do we split the groups in half? We also considered, as it is outlined in that document you were showing there, we're splitting it by alphabet. The other way to split would be by grade level. And so we did go back and forth on that. So I'll start with that. We wound up splitting by alphabet because in that way, we're able to reduce the density of students in the classroom. If we split it by grade level, we'd have pretty full rooms, which doesn't give people a chance to physically distance. And it also means that the students would be stuck in their desks, essentially.
Well, plus, if you've got one sibling that's in 9th or 10th grade and another in 11th and 12th, then they're alternating.
That's right, and that's pretty inconvenient for anybody who's transporting their own students or trying to figure out. I mean, high school students they can be pretty independent, but it also them being learning home alone all day is not ideal without somebody else in the house. And so some people are trying to plan at least being home some of the day with their high school students. And if it was every day in a sibling situation like that, that would be very problematic for families. So anyway, that's why we split it up that way. We were thinking of up until near the end, we were thinking the full day scenario. And the reason that we went away from that, the reasons that we went away from that are these. First of all, the full day we decided would be a very long day, both to be in person wearing a mask all day. So that's difficult for the students. So now they're only masked in the building for half a day.
And while riding the bus.
And riding the bus. So that's one thing. And a fully remote full day is also hard. Now you're on a screen all day. So that was one of the reasons. Another reason was just so we could, the touch base, seeing kids every day is an important thing for continuity. And also one of the biggest challenges with this was how do we feed people lunch when they're here all day? We're going to have in a situation where we have so many, about half of our students here, we have over 200 people here in a full day schedule. How do we feed 200 people? And by definition, you can't eat without uncovering your face.
It's hard.
Finding the places, finding the places and the logistics to be able to do that safely, physically distanced,
6 feet apart.
The logistics of lunch were the tiebreaker basically on half day versus full day.
Okay, so you do have, we've got a link on the WDEA website with frequently asked questions, which you are constantly adding to. And if you've got questions, I invite you to go there, click on the link, and just about everything questions are that you could possibly think of are being added. And if you have questions, you can submit them there. One of the things that I think is important to talk about is you need to hear from parents. And there's a click to answer the survey as well. I mean, couple questions. How are kids getting, do they need transportation to and from school? Are they going to have school lunch? Are they going to choose the hybrid model or the full remote? Is there anything else that you need to hear from? And give us a date that you'd like to hear all of that by.
Yes, so I'll start with that. We would like to have all those registration surveys filled out by this coming Monday. So that would be the 24th. So that way now we'll know not only we'll know how many students are going to choose the fully virtual option, how many students are going to be in each class, and then we're going to take that information and start figuring out which classrooms we're going to use for which classes. What we're going to do about the bus runs. We can't really figure out the actual times of day that the classes are going to run until we know how long the bus runs are going to be. So that's important information. Like, how are you coming to school, and do we need, do the students need the bus? Yes, the lunch, like on that survey, you're not signing up for lunch daily, but are we generally going to eat lunch, and it's a box situation. So those are all in that survey, and I think it's really important for people to fill out the survey once they've had their questions answered. It's not such a big rush that they should just get in there and do it. Like, put questions in that. There's, like, as you mentioned, I put a link for people to ask questions. It's not that I don't want people to contact me directly. It's just so hard. The volume of email that I'm getting is physically impossible to keep up with. So if I can get those questions in that link, then I can it's easier to organize. So anyway, there's a link there. That doesn't mean people should call me if they have a question. It's not that I don't want to talk to people. It's just using that type of a format makes it a little bit more efficient for me. There's also,
and everybody's got the same questions too. So, I mean, if you've asked a question, here's the answer. And if you still have questions, reach out to you.
Yes. One of the things in that form that you can fill out to ask a question, it asks, I ask in that form, would you like a direct response, or is it okay to wait until it's posted on the FAQs? And so far, about 3/4 of those have been, I would like a direct response. So I've been responding directly to people. And hopefully that document is getting to be pretty comprehensive. I had about 15 or 20 questions yesterday that I was able to get answered and added. And then overnight I got about another 10. So today I'll work on putting those in. But I imagine it'll slow down because there aren't that many new questions to ask. Although I keep thinking that, and then somebody says something like, "Oh, wow, gosh, yeah, that's a good point." So it's been good to have the feedback.
Hours of the school, as you mentioned, are in flux. So the start time, it may not be the normal start time that everybody's used to.
It won't be.
And with that caveat being, starting September 25th, starting September 8th, talk about what happens on September 8th. Because September 8th through the 25th, everyone's going remote.
That's correct. And what we're going to do for those times, during that time, was we are going to, before September 8th, significantly before September 8th, have the schedule finalized for the hybrid times. And then once we have those established, we're going to keep those same times. We're going to set those times up for the remote period of 3 weeks, just so the fewer things that we can change and modify and ask people to adjust to, the better off we're going to be. So anyway, that schedule will be the same, and I can't say exactly, but it'll be later than 8:30. I mean, it'll be later than 8 o'clock, which is, for some reason, our normal starting time is 7:57. It won't be that.
It won't be 8.
It won't be 8. It'll be later than that because we're switching our bus run. Instead of typically the high school bus run is first in the morning and then the elementary, we're going to try to keep the elementary runs at about the same time as normal, and then we're going to go after them. Right. And so, there's a lot of logistics to work out with that because we have some of we don't send buses. The high school doesn't send buses. The elementary schools all send it, and they all either have their own buses, or some of them have a contract with Sear, some of them have a contract with First Student. So there's a lot of logistics to work out around that morning run in particular.
Let's just talk a little bit about buses. I mean, obviously, these buses are going to be running almost nonstop between the morning runs and then afternoon, and then picking them up. They're going to have to be sanitized in between. There's a lot involved in getting kids to and from school safely, which is why, and then everybody's going to have to sanitize their hands as they get on the bus, as they get off the bus. So the best thing and have to wear a mask. So everybody's going to have to be the pros at having their mask on when the bus arrives, quickly sanitizing their hands, go to their individual seat, and people cannot sit together unless they're siblings.
Yeah, or if they live in the same house. They don't necessarily have to be siblings.
Okay.
But
yeah.
Yes, and I guess I would back up one step before all of that. The safety process, it's the self-screening before you leave the house. If you're having any symptoms, and obviously we've heard a lot about all those symptoms, and they've changed, and But anyway, the most important thing is to self-screen before you even consider getting on a bus or getting in a car and coming into school. And that goes for the adults just as much as the students. The only way we're relatively in a good place locally, virus-wise, and the only way we're going to stay that way is if people do a good job of taking the measures that limit the spread, like the things that you said, and like the staying home if you're having any sort of symptom.
Yeah, we don't necessarily want you to have perfect attendance this year. I mean, if you've got a fever or you're not feeling well, the old days of coming to school and toughing it out, that's over. If you're not feeling well, if you have a fever, stay home, contact the school, let them know, and hopefully you'll be feeling better and coming to school tomorrow.
Yeah, and to kind of follow that at one step further, it's a good time for that to be the philosophy because you don't have to miss out.
Right, because you're going to be able to do it remotely.
You can do it remotely if you're sick. And I mean, if you're really, really sick and not feeling well, go to bed and worry about your school later. And if you're just wondering, gosh, this is iffy, I would probably tough this out if it was normal times, just join the class remotely that day.
Okay. One of the things, and I don't know if this was addressed in the FAQs, but where kids are going to be joining remotely, they should be dressed properly for school.
That's a good, yes, it's not in there. And that's something that we spent a lot of time working with people last spring. And the students got better at it. Not only be dressed appropriately, but if your class starts at, say, 9 o'clock, try not to wake up at 8:55. Get up, eat breakfast, do what you need to do you're going to school and be ready to learn because our learning time is compressed and we want to make sure we get the most out of it. So be ready, be on time, be dressed, that type of thing. You're going to school. It's on those days you're going to school in your house.
Yeah. Okay. I know your time is precious, and hopefully we can do this again as we lead up to this. Is there anything else that I've missed that you want to make sure that we get across? I mean, please complete the survey by Monday, check the FAQs, and be positive. I guess, yeah, be positive. Everybody is going through challenging times and it's still going, but we've all got to move together. And it's like if you're in a boat and one person's rowing the wrong way, it's just not going to happen. We understand everyone has concerns, everybody is in a different place, but we got to try and this is faculty, staff, teachers, students. We've all got to start moving towards the end group here.
Yes, and that was going to be my thought. My closing thought was just assume the best intentions of everybody, even if they do or say something that you completely disagree with, because that's going to happen more now even than ever. And it's also a good philosophy at all times. The parents have the best intentions of their own and all the students in mind, the teachers, the administrators, the students themselves, the greater business community. Everybody has the best intentions and they have different perspectives. And if you're quick to discard those different perspectives because that may be a disagreement of what you're thinking, you're missing an opportunity to learn something and make it better. So that's how I'm trying to operate, and I just would ask people to do that. And if someone does or says something that seems to be completely outrageous to you, address it with them directly. And that's myself included. Because once you have a chance to talk to somebody, you may actually understand their perspective and it might not seem so outrageous, or it might help the person who did that seemingly outrageous thing recognize what they've done and try to fix it.
Because don't let things fester.
Right.
I mean, address it straight on. The one thing too that we haven't touched on is extracurricular activities. I know that everybody wants to play high school sports. Everybody wants drama. Everybody wants, all the extracurricular activities. I know that you all are working. We're waiting for the MPA to come down with a decision. and I know that music is going to be radically different this opening semester. I mean, flexibility right now is, and I know everybody, myself included, I'd like to know what I'm doing Friday nights. I mean, I'd like to know if what's happening, but right now, I mean, health and safety and flexibility are just the three key words, and cohort. I've decided cohort is going to be the new 2020 word. Is that, how many times can you use cohort in a document or sentence?
Yeah, I know. I've noticed that in the things I've been writing. And then, the smaller part of a cohort is pod. That's the other buzzword. So, you have a big cohort and a smaller pod, and that's how we're going to beat this thing, I guess. But yeah, as far as extra and co-curriculars, we are committed to having activities outside of the regular school day for students. What that looks like, we don't know. I found out today that the Maine Principals Association is going to release their decision on the 27th, which is a week from today.
Right.
And I also heard this morning that the Maine Drama Council is actually making plans to go ahead with some version of dramatic productions.
Which is great news.
And so we don't know exactly what that's going to look like, but it's going to happen. Those things are going to happen. And they won't likely all look like they always have. And that's okay because of the flexibility that you were talking about.
Right. And what's happening in September is going to be different in all likelihood in January and in March. So yes. We all just, I mean, as everything happens, and we just all have to be flexible.
Yes, we do. Yep. Right. And so I really appreciate you saying that and taking the time to talk to me and always being such a good advocate and helping get our word out there. And it's great to work with you.
All right. So hopefully what we can do is maybe set up a time. I'll work with Mary, and then you'll find out that
that's the way to do it.
Talking. But I know as next week as teachers start returning, and when do teachers and staff come back? I mean, so they're back in the building next week.
Next week, yes. The new teacher orientation day is Monday, and then all the teachers will be back on Wednesday. All the teachers and much of the support staff also.
And you guys still are looking for staff. So I know that, that's one of the reasons why, not necessarily staff, but why there is the remote learning at the beginning, because you're still waiting for PPE, the personal protection equipment to come. Plus you need some staffing and training.
Yes, and we're getting there on that stuff.
Okay. All right, Matt, thanks very much. Hopefully we can talk next week, and we'll go from there.
That sounds good. I'm looking forward to it.